The silence after the storm was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It wasn't the peaceful quiet I had imagined during all those months of planning. It was a heavy, ringing silence, the kind that fills the space after a bomb has gone off. I was standing in the crater, surrounded by the radioactive fallout of my own actions. For a year, my entire existence had been focused on a single moment, a single click of a mouse. And now that it was over, the high of victory, the electric thrill of seeing my plan executed perfectly, faded with a shocking speed, leaving behind a hollow emptiness that seemed to echo in the sparse rooms of my new apartment. I had done it. I had taken the perfect, beautiful life I shared with Mark, and I had systematically, meticulously, burned it to the ground, and I had taken his world down with it. The reports trickled in, of course. Through mutual friends, through Ben, I heard the details. Mark was a wreck. The life he had so carefully constructed, the respected career, the partnership at the firm, the illusion of a happy future, had evaporated overnight. He and Chloe, the woman he had betrayed me for, had imploded under the weight of the scandal, turning on each other with a viciousness that surprised no one. He was facing legal repercussions, the very real possibility of lawsuits from past clients. The brilliant architect, the man with the gleaming eyes and the big dreams, had to move back into his childhood bedroom at his parents' house. He had lost everything, and a part of me, a small, human part that I thought I had successfully buried beneath layers of cold resolve, felt a twinge of something that wasn't satisfaction. It was a deep, profound sorrow. Sorrow for the 5 years of my life I had poured into a lie. Sorrow for the man I truly believed he was. The man who held my hand on the balcony and talked about our legacy. Sorrow that it ever had to come to this. That love could curdle into something so dark and calculated on both our parts. I realized then that revenge doesn't actually fill the hole that betrayal carves out of you. It doesn't heal that wound. It just digs a new hole, a different one, right beside it. One was dug by his actions, and the other was dug by my own hands. I had to ask myself the question, the one I had promised to answer a year ago, staring at my broken reflection in the bathroom mirror. Was it worth it? I had planned with a precision I never knew I possessed. I had executed my strategy without a single misstep. I had won. By any measure, I had won. But what had I actually won? I was free of him, yes. I had my own apartment, my own money, my own truth finally spoken aloud for the world to see. But I was also different, harder, colder. The experience had scarred me. It had fundamentally altered my DNA. I looked at the world through a new, more suspicious lens. I found it difficult to trust, not just men, but people in general. A friendly smile from a stranger, a casual compliment from a coworker. My mind would instantly, involuntarily, look for the angle, the hidden motive, the potential betrayal. I had become a fortress, and while it was safe inside, it was also terribly lonely. I had to learn to live with the person I had become, the woman who could orchestrate such a devastating takedown. She was a powerful person, a survivor. There was no doubt about it. But she was also a person who now knew she was capable of immense, calculated destruction. And that knowledge, that power, is a terribly heavy weight to carry on your soul. You can never again pretend that you are incapable of darkness. You have looked into that abyss, and you have used it as a tool. But time, as it always does, began its slow, gentle work. The sharp, jagged edges of the pain and the anger, the ones that used to cut me from the inside out, slowly began to soften, worn down by the simple, relentless passage of days. The hollow feeling inside me didn't magically disappear, but it began, gradually, to fill with new things. It filled with the quiet, profound peace of my own apartment, a space that was entirely mine, where no lies had ever been told. It filled with the deep satisfaction I found in my freelance work, which was now flourishing because I could pour all of my energy, my creativity, my passion into it, instead of diverting it into a secret war. It filled with the warmth of the genuine friendships that had survived the explosion, the ones who reached out and said, "We always knew something was off with him. We're so glad you're out and you're safe." That validation, that community, was a balm I didn't even know I needed. I made the decision to start therapy. It was the bravest thing I had ever done, braver than any step in my revenge plan. I began the long, difficult, and often painful process of unpacking the trauma. I had to sift through the rubble of my past and separate his actions from my worth. I had to learn, truly learn in my bones, that his betrayal was a reflection of his character, his weaknesses, his failings, not a reflection of my value as a person, as a partner, as a woman. And perhaps the hardest part, I had to learn to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for not seeing the signs sooner, for being so willing to believe in the beautiful lie. I had to forgive myself for the coldness I had to embrace, for the emotional armor I had to wear every single day. I had to forgive myself for the person I had to become in order to survive, to wage that war. I had to accept that that cold, calculating strategist was a part of me, and she served a purpose, and I could thank her for getting me through, and then gently ask her to stand down. There was a morning, months into this new, quiet life, when I was walking through the park near my new home. The sun was bright, the air was clean and crisp. I saw a couple, young and in love, sitting on a bench. They were laughing, their heads close together, their hands intertwined. A year ago, that sight would have been a physical pain in my chest. It would have felt like a knife twisting. A stark reminder of everything I had lost, of the trust that had been violated. But on that morning, I watched them and I felt nothing, no sharp sting of pain, no bitter surge of anger, no acidic jealousy, just a neutral acknowledgement. A simple, look at that. They look happy. And in that neutrality, in that absence of pain, I discovered a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. It was small and it was fragile, but it was unmistakable. It was hope. My life was my own again. It was quieter. It was simpler. It wasn't the dazzling, filtered photograph life I had before. It was built on a new foundation, a foundation of brutal, unflinching honesty, starting with being honest with myself. The perfect facade was gone, shattered into a million pieces, and I was slowly, steadily, starting to realize that what I was building in its place, from the ground up, with my own two hands, was something infinitely more valuable. It was a life that was real. It had scars and it had memories, both good and bad, but it was authentic. It was durable. It could withstand a storm because it had no false front to be blown over. So, what is the lesson in all of this? After living through the fire and the ice, what can my story of betrayal and long-planned revenge truly teach you? It's not the simple, easy lesson you might find in a movie. It's not that revenge is sweet. The taste of revenge is complex, metallic, and it lingers in a way that is not entirely pleasant. No, the truth is that revenge is powerful. It is a formidable, raw power. It can give you a purpose, a reason to get out of bed when you are at your most broken, when you feel like you are nothing but a collection of shattered pieces. It can make you feel strong, capable, and in control when you have been rendered utterly powerless by someone else's actions. But that power, like all great forces, comes with a steep and non-negotiable cost. It demands your time, your mental energy, your emotional peace. It forces you to live in the long, dark shadow of the person who hurt you, long after they have physically left the room. You have to carry them with you, in your thoughts, in your plans, in your every waking moment. You allow them to become the central focus of your existence, and in doing so, you grant them a power over you that is almost as profound as the power they held during the betrayal itself. My revenge was worth it. But not for the reasons you might think. It was worth it, because it gave me back my agency. It was the brutal, difficult process of me taking control of a situation where I had none. It was me saying, you do not get to write the end of my story. I do. But if I am truly honest, the real victory was not in his downfall. Watching his life crumble was a moment of dark satisfaction. Yes, but it was fleeting. The real, lasting victory, the one that actually matters, was in my survival. The real victory was in the simple, monumental act of walking away from the wreckage and building a brand new life, completely on my own terms. The real victory was in the quiet apartment, the thriving career, the rediscovered friendships, and the flicker of hope in the park. The moral of this story is not an eye for an eye. That ancient law leaves everyone blind, and I have seen enough darkness for a lifetime. The moral, the one I forged in the heat of my own pain, is this. The best revenge is not about destroying the other person. That only continues the cycle of pain. The best revenge is about one thing, and one thing only: refusing to let them destroy you. It is about looking into the abyss they created and deciding that you will not fall in. It is about taking that pain, that soul-crushing agony, and transforming it into a different kind of power. Not the power to destroy, but the power to create, the power to build. And then, you use that hard-won power to build a future for yourself that is so bright, so full of meaning and joy and authenticity, that it outshines, it blinds, the shadows of your past. You make your present and your future so compelling that the past and the person who hurt you simply fades into insignificance. Betrayal is a crucible. It is a fire of the most intense heat. It can, without a doubt, break you. It can shatter you into a million pieces that never quite fit back together again. Or, and this is the choice you are given, it can forge you. It can temper you in that fire, burning away your naivete, your weaknesses, your dependencies, and leave behind something stronger, something smarter, and something truly unbreakable. I looked into that fire. I felt its heat. And I made a choice. I chose to be forged. I chose to let the experience shape me, not break me. I chose to become the woman who emerged from the ashes, not the one who was consumed by them. And in the end, that choice, that relentless daily decision to survive, to heal, to build, and to hope, that was what made it all worth it.